Lando Norris officially is the new F1 World Champion. Let's go. Alright guys, the F1 2025 season officially came to an end, and boy what a season it was. Lando Norris in the end came out on top, just edging out Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. And in this video we're gonna of course talk about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix weekend, but of course I wanna just of course go through all the season and where the two guys that didn't win the championship, of course, lost the championship throughout the season. So of course, before starting, I want to remind you, to just drop a like, leave a follow, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about the season. Were you happy? Were you not happy? Were you disappointed in the results, in the outcomes? And so let's open a debate and let me know. But even before starting, I wanted to acknowledge one thing, which is a statement of support from my side to a person that I don't really know, but I actually know. As you probably may know, I'm Italian, and I've followed Formula One since I was a kid. When I was 10, I'm now almost 20. And the Italian F1 commentator Carlo Vanzini has just announced a couple of days ago that he's battling with pancreatic cancer. And so I just want to leave a message from my side, and if you don't mind, I'm going to do that in Italian, but you probably may even understand. So Carlo, sappi che sei sempre stato la voce della mia passione, del mio sogno, e ti auguro veramente tutto il bene del mondo, e dai che in Australia ci sentiamo, ci vediamo e aspettiamo la tua sveglia Italia, sperando in un futuro veramente migliore e in un'altra stagione appassionante. Dai Carlo, dai. Alright, so having said that, let's go through the Abu Dhabi weekend. It was quite an interesting weekend. Fridays, of course, the McLaren seemed to have the upper hand, especially with Lando Norris. On Saturday instead, of course, the Red Bull came out, as they always do. This season especially, they had this habitué of course, starting off very far in Fridays and then coming back strong in Saturdays. And so yeah, Max Verstappen took pole position by a mesmerizing 2/10. And Lando Norris was in second and Oscar Piastri was in third, and there was not much more to say to that. There was not much more to add, especially because, of course, Lando Norris, all of what Lando Norris needed to do was just clinch P3, just a mere podium with a freaking rocket ship that he's had this season. So you could guess that it wasn't going to be very difficult for him. But the pressure, the amount of pressure that he's been through, especially for the person he is, a person who has been always has always had a very difficult relationship with managing the pressure and the hate and the comments from people. And so Lando Norris, of course, was in a difficult position. Although he was in a favorable position, it was a very difficult position. Max Verstappen, of course, as you probably have seen, went on to dominate the race, ending up almost 20 seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri, and of course 20 seconds, yes, ahead of Lando Norris. But of course that wasn't enough, and Max Verstappen ended up behind Lando Norris in the standings by just 2 points. And I want to stop a second and acknowledge the incredible recovery that Max Verstappen has done throughout the second half of the season. Coming back from 104 points from the lead and almost clinching the world title, with a car that was improved in the second half, but still was the second fastest in most of the races. just goes on to show that Max Verstappen probably is the best driver in terms of pure skill and pure, pace extraction from the car that we might have ever seen in the history of the sport. And, I don't think I'm exaggerating here, because Max Verstappen, is just incredible. We can't have any more words for him. It's just incredible. I don't have any more words that could better describe the situation. And for what concerns Lando Norris instead, Lando, you've probably not been the best driver throughout the season. Oscar and Max have had the upper hand on you, especially in the first half, where you did many mistakes that a driver who's been 7 years in Formula One probably shouldn't do, especially with a car that is so, of course, faster than anyone else. But from what we've seen in the second half of the season, ever since Oscar started making mistakes, you deserve it, Lando. You deserve it. If it were to be any of the two McLarens, I've always rooted for you out of the McLarens, and you deserve it, Lando, because you've proved that it's not just the car, it's the man, and not the driver. Be careful, it's the man. Lando Norris, you're a true man, a guy who can prove that kindness and emotion can still be the best part of a human being, the best part of a sportsman. Just shows that you deserve it. And you probably may not agree, but let me know, and let me know in the comments. But Lando Norris deserves it. He is now the Formula One world champion, alongside names that have made history in the history of Formula One. And so there's just not much more to say. But what I want to analyze with you is the opportunities that the other two guys, Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen, have lost to become world champions. Well, starting off from the third driver in the standings, Oscar Piastri. At some point, we all thought that he would win the championship races before the end of the season, but that wasn't the case. And why was that? Well, he came up, I think, 13 points shy of Lando Norris, and there's been many mistakes from Oscar. And before unraveling them, I just want to remind you that he is in the third season of his career. And to do what he did, even though he had a dominant car, just shows that he is a very, very great driver. So hats off to Oscar. Very few drivers could have done what you did. And even though you didn't win, you have to keep your head up, Oscar, because, it's just amazing. And so where did Oscar Piastri lose the championship? Well, there's been a couple mistakes. Overall, I would say Baku, the double shunt into qualifying and the race, and also a jump start, which would have cost him a penalty for sure. But there's another episode that probably we might have forgotten, but because it was a very long way ago, it was 9 months now. But the mistake in Australia, just that mistake, cost him 16 points. It was P2 in the moment, probably could have gotten P1, but he came up in 9th, spun out while he was in P2, and came up in 9th. And by how much did Oscar Piastri lose the championship? 13 points. Even a second place in the first race in Australia would have, of course, given him the championship. But of course, all the performances that came right after Monza just, weren't enough. They weren't enough because Lando Norris took a step up. Max Verstappen and Red Bull, crucially, took a step up. And so, yeah, that wasn't enough. That surely wasn't enough. And for what concerns Max Verstappen instead, he lost the championship in a single episode, which we all surely remember, which is him driving the fuck into into George Russell in Barcelona after his team asked him to let him by after the restart in the safety car, that when Kimi Antonelli blew his engine up, and that cost him. He would have ended up P5, and with a 10-second penalty after the group had been rebunched by the safety car, he ended up P9 instead of P5. He lost the championship by 2 points. 2 points. Those 8 points more would have given him the world championship, which now he doesn't. So Lando Norris probably was the one who did less mistakes, even though he did mistakes. Let's remind Saudi Arabia in qualifying. Let's remind Canada shunting into the back of his teammate. And, he has had probably the most bad luck out of the three, with, of course, the engine blowing up in Zandvoort. But, at the end of the day, he still was the one who won. And I want to just spend a little word on the prancing horse, which was not very prancing this season, Ferrari. I really hope for your well-being that the 2026 car is not another flop like it was the 25 car, because otherwise probably Maranello will be burned down by us Tifosi. So I really suggest that you make a good car for Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, because time's running out. Time's running out. Alright guys, so this was the, I'd say, post-GP debrief, post-GP analysis. And season's over. Plenty of more videos are coming to this channel, so subscribe, hit the bell button, hit the like button. Let me know in the comments what you think about the season, about how it ended up, and I guess I'll see you very soon. Bye.